and submitted my minority reports, 3 copies, and to the office of the clerk and the chairman. They were supposed to return to me 1 copy, which they have not, but since I suspected the sinister motives, I kept 1 copy in my court that I will now proceed to read. 5 contravenes the provisions of Article 93 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Rule 130, Sub-Rule 1, Sub-Rule B and C of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament of Uganda. Extracts from the Statement of Justification of the clauses of the bill signed and presented to the committee by the Honorable Yusuf Mutembuli, MP Bunyole East, in paragraph 2, page 6, is reproduced as follows. The bill, in clause 2, proposes to institutionalize IPOD as an organ of the Consultative Forum. The Consultative Forum is currently created under Section 20 of the Principal Act. The National Consultative Forum shall have 2 organs. A, the organ, and I underline the word organ for emphasis, the organ for political parties and political organizations with representation in Parliament, which shall be known as the Inter-Party Organizations for Dialogue. And B, the organ, I highlight again, the organ for political parties and political organizations without representation in Parliament, which shall be known as the Forum for Represented Political Parties, Non-Represented Political Parties, and Political Organizations. This will ensure that political parties represented in Parliament have their own organ within the National Consultative Forum, where they will discuss their unique issues pertaining to them. Likewise, there will also be a forum for non-represented political parties and political organizations in which the non-represented parties also have their own organ to discuss issues pertaining to them. The current council of the National Consultative Forum will remain for the purpose of enforcing the code and dealing with matters arising from the 2 organs. End of quote. The Honorable Yusuf Mutembuli was accompanied to the committee by Mr. Serwambala Kabagabe Lawrence, who signed his written submission as the Executive Director, Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue, IPOD. Please, Right Honorable Speaker and members, pay attention to the following extracts from the written submission of Mr. Serwambala. Today, open quotation, today, I respectfully submit that it is time to give IPOD the dignity, durability, and legitimacy it deserves by making it a legal entity. I have underlined that word. By making it a legal entity under the laws of Uganda. That is found in paragraph 5 on page 1. He continues, I ask you on behalf of IPOD and on behalf of all political parties represented in Parliament to champion the legal institutionalizing, I underline that point, of IPOD. That is found in paragraph 4, page 2. I also wish to add that institutionalizing IPOD is even more justified by paragraph 5, page 2, as a statutory body, and I underline the word statutory body. IPOD would be empowered to, 1, enforce rules of engagement and ethical codes of conduct among political parties. 2, institutionalize youth and women participation in political dialogue. 3, mandate the regular review of reforms, including those on electoral laws, political finance, and civic education. He continues, such a statutory recognition would also offer structured pathway of emerging political actors to engage with mainstream governance mechanisms, thereby expanding Uganda's democratic base. That is in paragraph 2 on page 4 of Mr. Serwambala's presentation. As a statutory IPOD would be better positioned to, 1, monitor, and members, please pay attention, monitor, evaluate, and report on implementation of agreed up reforms. Interface formally with the Electoral Commission, Parliament, and the Executive to track progress. Mobilize technical and financial resources with greater autonomy and transparency. Currently, IPOD's operations are donor-funded and dependent on the voluntary participation of political parties. He continues, institutionalizing IPOD will provide it with the legal identity, define government structure, and with the legal identity, define governance structure, and budgetary allocation from the National Treasury. 2. Provide continuity in leadership, programming, and stakeholder engagement. They continue. A statutory foundation would help IPOD transition from a project-based entity to nationally owned and constitutionally anchored institution. That is found in paragraph 2 on page 5. Let IPOD not just be an initiative, but an institution. This is in the concluding paragraph on page 6. End of quotation. It is clear from the written submissions of the movers of the bill and their one-man ally, Mr. Serwambala, that the bill imposes a charge on the consolidated fund. Parliament is stopped from proceeding on any bill or a motion for that bill that imposes a statutory charge on the consolidated fund. This is in Article 93 of the Constitution and Rule 130, Sub-Rule 1 and 2 of the Rules of Procedure. This is the finding of the minority. The minority finds that the Political Parties and Organizations Amendment Bill 2025, privately moved by the Honorable Nakut Faith Loru, Honorable Mutembuli Yusuf, and Honorable Afidra Ronald Olema, violates Article 93 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, and therefore it is unconstitutional. The other dissent is overthrow of the legal mandates of the other institutions. The minority observed that the Private Members Bill, the Political Parties and Organizations Amendment Bill 2025, intends to overthrow the legal mandates of various institutions conferred by the Constitution and Acts of Parliament. A patient analysis of by the minority observed that Parliament, this institution, Electoral Commission, National Youth Council, National Women's Council, amongst others, will be relegated to be subordinate to IPOD. The mandate to carry out legal reforms is an exclusive preserve of Parliament provided under Article 79. Nobody can make a law to reform issues of elections except this Parliament. 2, the mandate to enforce rules of engagement and conduct amongst political parties is the preserve of the Electoral Commission by law. The mandate to institutionalize women and youth in political spaces is a preserve of the Women and National Youth Councils. The recent policy of the NRM government, as told to us here in this Parliament by the Ministry of Public Service, is that MPAs are being rationalized for efficiency and effectiveness by eliminating duplication and wastefulness. This is my finding. The minority finds that the bill interferes with both the constitutional and statutory mandates of Parliament, Cabinet, Electoral Commission, National Youth Council, National Women's Council, and potentially amends by infection several acts of Parliament which will likely plunge government into conflicts and confusion. It is further found that provisions of the bill appear to contradict the government policy of rationalization, specifically on halting the creations of new bodies, organs, councils, secretariats, etc. The third dissent is on lack of public and consultation with political parties. The minority observed that the movers of the Political Parties and Organizations Amendment Bill 2025 did not consult the political parties represented in Parliament and those outside. In fact, the motion seeking leave of Parliament to move a private member's bill was sought and granted to the movers of the bill on the 13th May 2025 around 5 p.m. The order paper listing the bill for the first reading, which was the next day, 14th May 2025, was released on the 14th, just as we are here, on the 13th May 2025, before the bill was even published and gazetted. The bill was published then on the 14th May 2025 and introduced to the House on the same day. The Honorable Chairperson of the Committee of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs scheduled, and indeed the committee held the meetings with the movers on the 15th day of 2025, and today we are here to present the report with only the movers of the bill submitting. It is therefore suspicious that the regulator of the political parties, which is the Electoral Commission, the supervising ministry, Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the political parties represented in Parliament were never consulted by the movers nor the committee. No other stakeholder, including members of Parliament, who had sought, albeit in futility, to move private members' bills on reforms touching political parties and elections, were accorded an opportunity to submit before the committee. The House may recall the vehement submission by the esteemed founding former first son of Uganda, the Honorable Jimmy James Michael Akena Obote, MP Lira City East and party president of the two-time party in government, for those who don't remember, 1962 to 1971 and 1981 to 1985, who is also a member and a former chair of the IPOD. In his submission on record of this House, the Honorable Jimmy James Michael Akena labeled the bill diabolical. The minority found it necessary to recast the dictionary meaning of the word diabolical as below. It means characteristics of a devil, or so evil as to be suggestive of a devil. The second dictionary definition is disgracefully bad and unpleasant. The minority invites the House to pay kind attention and consider the concerns of the party president of UPC, and also recall the concerns of the Honorable Asuman Basalirwa, the party president of JEMA, in as far as implementation of Section 14 of the Political Parties and Organizations Act is concerned. There is no doubt in my mind that the leaders of the political parties in IPOD, who are not members of this House, I have listed them: the Honorable Chagulani Robert Sentamo of the official opposition party LOP, the Honorable Amoriat Patrick Oboy of FDC, One Uganda, One People, the Honorable Norbert Mao of DP, Truth and Justice, and Mr. Magara George William of the PPP, if given the opportunity, would equally have opposed this bill, which has been moved with